This is K.M. Weiland, and you're listening to the 191st episode of the Wordplay Podcast. One of the things I've been quietly trucking along with this winter is my research for my historical fantasy Storming. Aside from all the fun biplane info, I've also had the opportunity to study my hometown area since I ended up setting a story here for the first time ever. I'm digging up all kinds of interesting history. I've lived here most of my life, but there was so much I've taken for granted and never known about. It's been fascinating. This is always the best kind of research, stuff you love learning about, even if there wasn't a book in the mix. 3 ways to make all POVs equally interesting. The latest post in the video series on my blog discusses the dangers of creating unequal POVs and how to select only the most interesting and important narrators. To watch it, visit my website at www.helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. And now, I hope you enjoy this week's podcast, Top 10 Sentence Slip-Ups. Good writing comes down to 2 totally different factors, solid prose and it. The latter is that special something that brings stories to life, infuses vibrancy into characters and themes, and just basically makes stories work. But an author who has been blessed with all the it in the world still won't make it if he isn't also able to convey the essence of his genius in well-ordered, properly structured sentences and paragraphs. Creating correct sentences is a technical process that offers set guidelines for getting the structure right. Within those guidelines, we have the opportunity to flex our creative muscles in all kinds of unique ways, and even to occasionally burst the bounds of those guidelines if we have a good reason for doing so. But in discovering how and where to flex in order to tap our prose potential without inappropriately bursting those bonds, we should first learn to spot the most prevalent sentence slip-ups and know when to eliminate them from our stories. Following are 10. 1. Participle phrases. The participle phrase is a verb phrase used as a modifier. The participle phrase indicates 2 actions happening simultaneously. Unless both actions really are occurring at the same time, this indicates a false sequence of events, destroys the linearity of cause and effect, and robs the punch from both actions. For example, grabbing her pet flying monkey, Jana jumped on its back. Usually, all you have to do is rework the sentence from complex to compound with the events properly ordered. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey and jumped on its back. 2. Run-ons. The run-on is a sentence that joins 2 or more independent clauses without an appropriate use of punctuation or conjunctions. The run-on can occasionally be used for poetic effect or to indicate a flurry of activity, but usually it just looks like sloppy writing. It creates a choppy, breathless tone that can contribute to reader confusion. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, she jumped on its back. To fix it, either divide the clauses into proper sentences or add appropriate punctuation. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, she jumped on its back. Or, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, then she jumped on its back. 3. Fragments. The fragment is a phrase that lacks either a subject or a predicate, thus preventing it from being a complete sentence. Fragments offer only half a thought, although they are often used to good effect in creating tone or emphasis, since people often do speak and think in fragments. They will create confusion when the missing half, whether it's the subject or the predicate, isn't clear. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, jumped on its back. To fix it, either tack the fragment onto one of its surrounding sentences or create a new sentence by adding the missing half. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey and jumped on its back. Or, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, she jumped on its back. 4. As phrases. As is a conjunction that indicates 2 events happening concurrently. Like the participle phrase, the as phrase goes astray when it indicates a simultaneity that isn't accurate. For example, as Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, she jumped on its back. To fix it, rewrite the sentence to reflect proper linearity and cause and effect. For example, Jana grabbed her flying monkey, then jumped on its back. 5. Unclear antecedents. An antecedent is the noun to which a related pronoun is referring. Whenever we use a pronoun, we must be certain readers will understand to whom the pronoun is referring. For example, when she grabbed Isabella, her pet flying monkey, she poked her in the eye. We can't be quite certain who's poking whose eyes. To fix it, either reorder the sentence so the correct antecedent precedes its pronoun, or eschew the pronouns and just name names. For example, when Jana grabbed Isabella, her pet flying monkey, the monkey poked Jana in the eye. 6. Lack of variation. Sentence structures need to be varied within each paragraph in order to present a pleasing rhythm. The lack of variation is particularly evident when multiple short sentences are strung together, since it presents a choppy style that quickly becomes monotonous. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey Isabella. She jumped on Isabella's back. Isabella poked her in the eye. To fix it, mix up the sentence structure to include a variety of simple, complex, and compound sentences. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, Isabella, but when she jumped on Isabella's back, the monkey poked her in the eye. 7. Lack of parallelism. Parallelism balances similar words or phrases by uniformly structuring them. A lack of parallelism creates a clunky sentence that can cause confusion, since the verb forms often get mixed up. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, whooped, then onto its back she jumped. To fix it, make sure all words or phrases in a list are presented in the same way. For example, Jana grabbed her pet flying monkey, whooped, and jumped onto its back. 8. Nominalizations. A nominalization is an unnecessary distortion of a verb form into a noun or adjective. Nominalizations clutter up sentences by weakening otherwise strong verbs. For example, the attempt to learn how to ride monkeys of the flying variation should be approached only by those who have mastered the act of balancing. To fix it, trim unnecessary phrases and allow your verbs to do their job. For example, only those who have masterful balance should attempt to learn to ride flying monkeys. 9. Flabby sentences. Flab in a sentence is caused by the inclusion of unnecessary words. Words must always have a reason for their presence in a sentence. If they aren't contributing to either clarity or a deliberate linguistic effect, they don't belong. Never use two words where one will do. For example, with great nervousness, Jana took a step toward her flying monkey and sighed out of breath. Where possible, replace phrases with single words. For example, nervously, Jana stepped toward her monkey and sighed. 10. Subject-verb confusion. Every sentence is founded upon two parts, the subject and the predicate or verb phrase. To work, both must agree in tense and plurality. Confusion in tense or plurality between subject and verb murders sentence clarity and makes the author look incompetent at best. For example, Jana grabs her flying monkey, but the monkey weren't happy. To fix it, always double-check that your verbs agree with their corresponding subjects and the overall tense of your story. For example, Jana grabbed her flying monkey, but the monkey wasn't happy. If you can learn to recognize and correct these sentence slip-ups, you'll be that much closer to perfect prose, which allows you to focus that much more of your attention on the it factor that will send your stories from blah to beautiful. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, you can visit my website at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. And be sure to check back again next week.